Good morning and welcome to Perspectives. I'd like to apologize. The program is starting a little late. It was due to circumstances beyond our control. We're glad to say that we're back with it. Perspectives this morning, and more of the talk would be still on Nigeria at 60. And a lot of people have said so many things about where we are at 60 and where we should be at 60. Nations that we started with, we know what we can say about them today, but Nigeria, with all that has happened from foundation days of it to where we are today, we've had a military incursion, we've had civilian and transferred to democratic rule, tried the British system over to the American system, and all not seem to be working as we would want it. So others have suggested that it is time we develop our own system of democracy, and all in a bid to really help us to push the nation forward. But where we are with Nigeria today, are we more divided or are we united as it is for the common good of Nigeria? Listening to the president's speech the other day, he asked a question, rhetorical, some would say, or a question that was wide enough for us to, put answers to. And the question was, are we on course with Nigeria? For so many people, so many answers to that. As a people, diverse in tongue and tribe and cultures and traditions and background, we're coming from different, melting pots. And so we are with Nigeria. But again, some people will say the advantage that we have is that coming from all, where we're coming from should make us a stronger nation. America would be a nation to refer to that has all the peoples of the world in America and all developing America for the good of the nation. But what is it with Nigeria? And so we'll be looking at it this morning. And my guest this morning is Yusuf Goje. Yusuf Goje is a public affairs analyst. He's been saying what's been going on. And particular reference would be on the youth in Nigeria. The youth, like we say and like we know in all climes of the world, are the engine room of development for any nation. But how are youths faring in these 60 years in the life of the nation? Yusuf Goje, glad to have you with us this morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Yeah. Taking this long, some people have heard some people say, no, let's not compare the nation and the age of Nigeria. And people say that for America, it took over 200 years to come to where they are today. And so we are just evolving as a nation. But for some people, 60 years is not a joke either in the life of any nation. But taking a general overview of it, Nigeria as it's unfolding today, what will be your perspectives towards unfolding of Nigeria as a nation today?
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. But the main thing we need to focus our attention on is going back memory lane, because the past would definitely have a lot of lessons for us and insights on why we are where we are today as a nation. Looking at it from present realities will not give you the right picture of what the real problem is. And I always like taking people back to even the pre-independence era, fully knowing that the British colonized Nigeria, starting with the amalgamation in 1914, down to the independence and down to where we are. But the critical question we should ask ourselves is Nigeria created to work? Because we have to look at the intention of those that colonized Nigeria and brought Nigeria together, the various ethnic nationalities together. And basically it was for one reason, colonialism. And even the set of leaders we had were only leaders that were empowered with the kind of education that would position them in a way to support the exploitation of Nigeria, which was also not only restricted to Nigeria but other African countries that were demarcated as a result of the Berlin Conference. So looking at that, for me, I always tell people that Nigeria was never created to work. It was just created to ease administration and exploitation of our natural resources. So in that line, the British brought two critical tools which they used in achieving that. One is divide and rule. Two is indirect rule. Basically, divide and rule was created to pitch the key major ethnic groups against each other to ensure that they don't cooperate and unite to ward off the British people. And that has been institutionalized, and down to the first generation of leaders we had in 1960, if you look at their kind of politics at the national level, it was regional based as against a nationalistic political engagement. So, and that is one of the heritage we have taken down to today, and that is why till today you hear people talk about from the north, and from the southwest, and from the southeast, and all that. So it did not start today, and so we need to go back. Then indirect rule also means that they used our own leaders, some of our own leaders, to actually perpetuate this colonialism in Nigeria. And yes, in 1960, colonialism stopped, but they reintroduced what is called neo-colonialism, whereby they were now ruling through a few of our leaders that they provided with education and knowledge and what have you. And that also, those set of leaders have perpetuated the interests of the West as against the interests of Nigeria. So basically, the problem of this country is foundational. It's not an issue of the manifestation, because most of the problems we see are just manifestation of the root problem. So it brings to the question of really, can we survive as a country if we don't renegotiate the basis for our existence? So it's a question that true Nigerians should answer, because in the first place, the foundation on which Nigeria is built is very, very shaky. And we must go back to the foundation and answer those critical questions. On what terms should Nigeria continue to exist going forward? And what vision as a collective can we set for this nation to ensure that everybody buys into it? In America, when you talk about the American dream, it's neither that for a dream for the Democrat or Republicans. It is an American dream. Do we have that kind of a dream in Nigeria, where regardless of the party the president is in, is pursuing that dream, or the governor, or the local government chairman, or down to the councillor? Do we have that? We cannot really say we have that. So it is not surprising that as a country we are failing in so many areas and sectors of our nationhood. And that is the reason why the question of why Nigeria should exist must be answered by all. And if we answer that question, on what basis should we exist? Should we exist on the basis that for you to get admission into a university, you must belong to a catchment area based on your geographical location, or should it be based on merit? When you go to seek for a job, should it be based on merit or where you come from? When you want to contest the president of Nigeria, should it be on the basis of where you come from or merit? So if we don't get to that level, then it becomes very difficult. Another critical area we must address is that of leadership. Chinua Achebe famously said the problem of Nigeria is simply a problem of failure of leadership. I agree with him, but I think that also does not tell us the real picture, because when we say leadership, we assume it is only those that hold elective positions.
I want to take us back to the old national anthem that we had. A line of it said, "Do tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand." And I also want to tie it to what you are saying, that the British intentionally, sow the seed of discord and suspicion amongst, the regions or the tribes for Nigeria not to work. And that's why today we still haven't gotten it together, because for what we see, when we get leadership, we claim leadership in our regions, in our tribes, and all of that, and that has become, a thing that we're battling with. And then we talk about bridging the gap. There's so much has been talked about bridging the gap, and we see that some people could just be said to be maybe 20, 30 years above, one another. And so we have evolved as it is, as a people, but we're still struggling to get it right.
Yeah.
Why so?
Yes, I would like to take it from my earlier point where we talked about leadership, because leadership is everything. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and that is why I made reference to the quote by Chinua Achebe. And to get it right, you need leadership at two levels: those that occupy leadership position and the followership. We have simplified the problem by always throwing stones and accusations at the leaders that hold public offices. But we also forget that it is followership that determines the quality of leaders that we get, because you must first be a follower before you emerge to become a leader. So without getting it right from our leadership selection process, which is at the level of our followership, whoever you put in office will just be a recycling of the old same problems we've been having. And so it is important that our leadership selection process is very, very key, because most of the followership we have, and I say most, is, if you look at their mentality, it is what Niccolo Machiavelli will say: opportunity makes a thief. He that doesn't have opportunity claims to be honest. So most of we that castigate our leaders are only castigating them probably because we don't have such positions. Because if you want to assess whether we share the same mindset with our leaders, then you go back to how we run our families, you go back to how we run our businesses and all that. Those are spheres of leadership, and one way or the other, on a collective level, it tells on the nation building process, because leadership can come from anywhere. When America emerged from the Civil War, the set of people that held America together were not the politicians. They were burning entrepreneurs. They are J.P. Morgan, they are Henry Ford, and what have you, Rockefeller. These were people that revolutionized the American system without necessarily being politicians.
But we've had military incursion, and military incursion would say that no bias for, our dictatorship. Yeah, we've also seen, even in military incursions that we've had, that it has also been tilted to whatever leadership was at the top, that it was tilted to one side, of it, that people did not even trust even military dictatorship too.
Yes, you see, the thing is, leadership entails there's a preparation process. You must be prepared for it. You can't be trusted with power when you are not prepared for it and you perform, regardless of how inordinate your ambition is to acquire that power, because the motive behind why you want power is critical. A lot of people want power because of the fame, because of the money, because of the power. The reality is this: if you become the president today, people start worshiping you. You become like a mini god, and it gets to your head. That's why they say you don't know a man till you give him power. So most of the leaders we've had from the military angle, we are not really prepared for leading a nation to the kind of the promised land we all desire. They were only there, they were only trained to either defend or protect. So it is that same mentality that most of the military leaders came into power with. So they had no clear long-term vision to really grow a nation. And we've seen where dictatorship has also brought progress. And you can talk of China and other countries where it's more of like dictatorship and what have you. But the military, to a large extent, are not really fashioned out for the kind of leadership that will pull this country together and take us to the promised land. Because even at that, from 1966, the first and the second coup, the basic allegation was as a result of ethnicity. The North felt that the Southeast eliminated their leaders. Afterwards, the North retaliated against the Southeast. So already, even the military were divided along these ethnic divides. And also the Civil War further ensured that the military was divided, because some on the side of the federal side who stood there, and some who left the federal side and went to the southeast and all that. So it is not really whether you're in the military or in the civilian. It's more about the motive and the quality of the selection process of the kind of leaders we churn out. For example, an average young man does not know where Nigeria is going in the next 1 year. So tell me, how does he begin to position himself to contribute to Nigeria in the next 10 years when he doesn't even know the direction of his country in the next 1 year? So we need to go back and really x-ray these issues and go back to the foundation, because number one is the easiest way to revolutionize this country is through our educational system. But go and see what our curriculum is carrying. These are borrowed knowledge, borrowed technologies, and what have you. And you can't beat somebody at being him. So we are busy copying America, China, and whether we can't beat America and China at being America and China. We can only become the best when we look inwards and be Nigerians and look at what is our realities. Development and civilization has to be organic. Even though there are aspects of it that you borrow, but when you bring it, you truly domesticate it to ensure that it suits to the mentality of the people here in Nigeria. So, and if you look at it, the average, why I always bring the issue of the followership is this. Since 1960 till date, succession of leaders have all been criticized. Show me one leader that we have not criticized. It is only after you have left office that people now look and say, the former government is even better than this one.
I was going to get there.
Yeah.
Get there in the sense that people say that the worst democracy would still be the best, of a dictatorship. But again, Nigerians, sampling opinions now, Nigerians would say, look, let's just go back to when it was the military. So would it have been that a benevolent dictator would have been, best, to be on the helm of affairs with what is happening now?
No, I think the major problem is that we oversimplify the problem and we don't want to take responsibility. So we feel that, for example, I have a problem when people say Nigeria will be great again. You understand? Or we want to meet. We should be thinking. We should be forward thinking, not looking at behind. And it is just the general mentality as we have in Nigeria, where you are not celebrated when you are alive till you die. That's when people now begin to. So that's what we do to our leaders. When they are in power, we find all the faults, find all the problems, and what have you. Then when they leave and another new government come, then we begin to compare and say, that other guy was even better than this one. So, but why that is happening is because there is a failure of followership, not only the failure of leadership. Because the citizenship question in Nigeria only comes up when people are talking about their rights. They are not talking about their roles, responsibilities, and duties. And there is nowhere in the world that you see that there is progress, there is development, that the people don't play a critical role. The leadership is supposed to provide the vision, communicate the vision, and inspire the people to key into that vision. And that is what happens in advanced countries, where you think Obama was loved because of his oratory. No, it was because he could communicate effectively the vision he had for America, and a lot of people could see themselves in that vision. So, but here in Nigeria, we have narrowed what the concept of leadership is. We feel that leadership means come and fight corruption. You can never fight corruption. It will continue to be there. But you have a leader that can say yes, beyond fighting corruption, because one of the reasons why we feel corruption is high is because there's no sense of patriotism, there's no sense of ownership. Nobody wants to take responsibility for Nigeria. So the slightest opportunity you have, you decide to fleece what you can fleece for your own and your family and what have you, to perpetuate yourself and all that. So the followership is key, and that is why democracy is the government of the people and by the people and for the people. It is because without the people, and when we say the people, it is not the docile people, it is people that participate, people that engage, people that don't only complain and criticize, but that go beyond their means to ensure they hold their governments accountable, to go beyond their means to reject bribery, to reject politics of ethnicity and religion, and vote leaders based on merit. Because we cannot as a nation develop when all the citizens want to do is to just vote based on sentiments or who can give the biggest cash money, and then we come back and wonder why things are not working. So the followership is important. Building a critical mass of Nigerians that would look back and say, why has Nigeria failed? And say, okay, let's learn from the lesson. Now, mind you, the most powerful set of groups, group that fought for Nigeria's independence was the Nigerian Youth Movement. And these were young men in their 20s and 30s. And these were young men at that age. They were not discussing Big Brother Nigeria. They were discussing what kind of federalism, what kind of economy should Nigeria have. They were discussing what kind of, how do we get power back to Nigeria in terms of independence when they were fighting for independence. And these were the set of people that fought for our independence and took over power. So it means that we must not wait until we are in the position before we can now bring about the change. It is just for us to have that critical mass of Nigerians to say, yes, for the past 50 years, we have been divided, we have been our own problem. So what do we do now going forward in the next 60 to 100 years? What kind of Nigeria do we want to see? How do we as individuals play our roles now, not looking at somebody else? Because we forget that when you point one finger at the leadership, 4 other fingers are looking back at you. And I always make reference to the Nigerian Constitution, Section 14. 1, it says sovereignty belongs to the people. 2, it talks about the primary purpose of government, which is the security and welfare of citizens. And the most important one is 14(2)(c), which says the participation of people in their government is guaranteed by the Constitution. So the Constitution has guaranteed our participation in government, not to be onlookers, not to be critics, not to come on social media and other criticize, which is okay, because that is what democracy allows, freedom of speech and what have you. But before you go out and criticize your leader, first turn the camera on yourself and ask yourself, for the past 1 year, what have I done, consciously or unconsciously, to contribute to the peace, unity, development and progress of Nigeria? If you are able to answer those questions, then you can now look at the leader and say, yes, I have performed my roles, responsibilities and duties. So why are you not performing your own? It gives you the moral justification to do that. And if we don't perform our roles, responsibilities and duties, it will continue to give the enabling environment for corruption to happen, for impunity to happen. So it is important that we must understand what democracy is. America is America not because only it has great leaders, because it has an active citizenry. It has an active citizenry that will challenge everything, that will question everything, that will contribute their quota, that pay their taxes, and ensure that these people in government use these taxes for the purposes of which these taxes were paid for. So these are some of the issues we must go back. It is simplifying the problem if we always feel it is the leadership. One day, Buhari, for example, El-Rufai, for example, the local government chairman of Kaduna South, for example, will go. We'll forget about them. Another set will come. And if we don't begin to put question on the quality of followership, it is from this same followership that we will pick another set of leaders that already are even saying in their hidden mind in their subconscious mind, not the conscious mind where everybody is anti-corruption. There are people that are just waiting for opportunity, and once the opportunity does not present itself, they feel okay, anybody that is there should be castigated. But I'm not holding brief for anybody, but just to say that despite the politics, despite all the divisions, we must come back to the sitting table to say, do we really want Nigeria to exist? If we really want Nigeria to exist, then on what basis? Then we as citizens must take that responsibility to ensure that these things happen. Because you can elect a good person into power, but the system will change him if you don't hold him accountable. If you don't follow him, I always use the word bumper to bumper, to ensure that he delivers on what he has promised. So, yeah.
The program is Perspectives, and we're still talking about Nigeria at 60, and of course looking at it from the perspectives of how it all started and where we are with it. We'll go for a commercial break. We'll be back with you shortly.
Only you can make me feel this way. 98.9 Music Type. We're always ready to feed you with the latest, hottest, juiciest, and purest of information, entertainment, news, and all that you pray for on radio. Don't move a muscle. Only you can make me feel this way.
Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning, and still with Nigeria at 60. And sharing thoughts with me on that this morning, we have Yusuf Goji, a public affairs analyst. Yusuf, I'd like to also take you back again to the, to the days, when it all started, and talking about the founding fathers. They were very active. They were, in their youthful age, and of course, they knew what they wanted and demanded for what they wanted. And of course, the British had no choice but to begin to think that it's about time that the hands off the affairs of Nigeria. Today's youth, as we see them, well, what is presenting is that our youths have also been accused of being lazy. And of course, when we talk of unemployment, our youths are, top of the list of unemployed youths of the world. And of course, they are engaged in fraudulent activities as we see them. And of course, education too, which should be a bond, to tie them to doing greater things or achieving a lot, is denied them. And some of them we see after school, no work to do. And so, misplaced, priorities are what we see with our youths engaging in. And these are youths that are, key, very key in the development of a nation. But they have all been denied that. And one thing that's going on is that for what we know, hunger knows no youth of the north or the south or the east or the west. And of course, what is painful is painful. And so when you want to talk about, even the Nigerian dream for our youths, can we ever have the Nigerian dream when our youths are faced with all of these challenges in life? And again, you've talked about gullibility. Our youths are seen to be gullible, and of course, they even are in the up of using all that is tearing us apart, in the forefront of fight, thuggery and all of that. And so, for our youths these days to be as accountable as you'd want them to be in the democratic process, and to own up and take up responsibilities and challenge even leadership, what should be, what our youth should be looking at all across the country now?
Well, from the realities that we have seen with most of the major reason why young people go into negative vices is largely because they've been denied opportunities, and unfortunately at that they have also been denied mentorship. So that is largely a major problem for our young people. You know that the leaders we used to have then, one of the things they enjoyed was the young leaders we had was mentorship. They had people that really mentored them and showed them the direction to go. But here it is no longer that way.
Is it deliberate?
Well, should we say it might not be deliberate, and it is a problem of having a leadership that has no long-term vision. Because if you have a long-term vision that will outdate you, then it means that you must prepare the generation that would take over from where you stop, because you know that there's a destination to get to. So it's largely a problem of having leaders that never had a long-term vision and did not also have the capacity to even galvanize people in that direction. So it is a situation whereby it's now a time bomb, because we're having what is called youth bulge. For example, in Kaduna, the governor, I always hear him say that about 86 or 89% of our population in Kaduna here are below 35. So you know what it means when these young people have energy, the exuberance is there, the lack of patience is there, and you don't give them opportunities. Then it means that automatically before they start their life, they begin to feel that they don't have a life.
Would mentorship also be tied to godfatherism?
Well, not necessarily, because when you want to tie mentorship to politics, it must be wrapped around ideology. And you know, most of our political elites don't have any ideology, or I wouldn't say they don't have, they have only one ideology, and that is furthering their political interest. And unfortunately is that this same set of people identify young, vibrant, educated, smart people, and they recruit them, and they become their engine room for perpetuating their political ambition, instead of even creating opportunities for these young people to contribute meaningfully to the socio-economic development of the country. They rather recruit them, use them to rig elections and what have you done, using them to actually develop the country. So it is all about creating that opportunity, and that opportunity will not come until we begin to get leaders that have that vision. But the second option and way out is for the young people to take their destinies into their hands. I believe that when we talk of the Nigerian youth movement, if they had listened to a lot of people, they would have not mobilized themselves, organized themselves, and started the movements they started, and that led us to our independence. So it means that as young people, we must understand that people that are born before 1960 or even immediately after 1960 will not be here for long. And if we don't come and say, okay, yes, our older people have tried their best, even though their best has not created opportunities for us, but what can we do? I made reference earlier on to people like Henry Ford, people like Rockefeller and JP Morgan in America. These were all young people when they started their businesses, and their businesses is what placed America where it is today. Not the politicians, not the presidents they had. The presidents then were struggling for stability, political stability, while it was a set of young people that took their destinies into their hands, that saw opportunity in destruction, because America was badly hit by the Civil War, and when it came out, the economy was battered, almost everything was battered, there was threat of succession and what have you. So similar to some of the problems we are facing today, but a new generation of young people emerged, took their destiny, because you can't blame our past leaders forever. They will go one day. So but we need to draw a line to say, yes, this is what our leaders have done, they've tried, but this is their mistakes. So but from this point, we as young people, we need to start correcting those mistakes rather than resigning to lamentation and regret.
All right, so let me just squeeze in this one call, so I can make it interactive enough. 081 40989, 081 40989. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Sorry, can get you on that line. All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, quickly, please, quickly.
Yeah, I'm saying to my man, your just have spoken very well. I think it is high time the youth should just wake up. Should not be used as a tool for destruction, but they should be a youth of building a new Nigeria. because the politicians have used them, or they have made them to deviate from the red page and just pursue their own interest, their personal interest of the politicians, not having focus. I think if the youth will realize this, I think Nigeria will become great again. Because where we are today, that is not where we're supposed to be. Despite the fact God has blessed this country beyond human imagination, but few people are just controlling the resources of this country, and we cannot grow like that.
Okay.
If they expand this to every region, I think this country will be a great one.
All right, Engineer Emmanuel, thank you. Yusuf Koji, just sum it up. Sum it up for us.
Well, the next 100 years or 60 years depends on what we as young people do going forward. It is no longer about regrets, criticism, and lamentation, but what concrete steps as young people, whether you're in politics, whether you're in business, whether you're into social development, what contribution are you making towards ensuring that Nigeria becomes a better place? Because if you don't add value, you continue to also be part of the problem that you accuse our leaders for. So no matter how small, no matter where you are, you can start with what you have from where you are to begin to influence and bring about the change you want to see in our society, because we can no longer depend on our leaders for the Nigeria we want to see in the future.
And that will just be about the size of it on Perspectives this morning. I apologize again that the program started a little late. Yusuf Goje, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
And Dashin, thank you for connecting us with the people. We'll be back with Perspectives tomorrow, same time, same station. Good morning.
It's Victor 98.9 FM.
For we country, na different kind special people buckle inside. Na him be say only one size or one formula wey go fit everybody sam not dey, especially for sleep matter. That's why they make Muka Tanda special for you. Whether you be mama, papa, small pikin, or even young bobo.